Some of the top chase cards from Pokemon Sword and Shield era have been crashing in price over the last 12 to 18 months. Is now the time to buy, or do we hold off? Do you have a favourite chase card that has just simply been unaffordable from the Pokemon Sword and Shield era? Today, I'm going to be looking at 15 of the top chase cards from the Pokemon Sword and Shield era. These are the number one chase cards in each set. These are the best of the best. Over the last 12 to 18 months, they have come crashing down in price. I ask you the question, is now the time to pick up your favourite card before they start to climb too high again? Or do we sit back and wait? Let's go take a look at what these cards are doing and see if they're worth picking up. Welcome back to the chase card, guys. Straight off the bat, the first card I want to be looking at is this Charizard V Max Secret Rainbow Rare from Champion's Path. Now this card, let's have a look back here. 1 year ago, this card was selling for $194. It came crashing down mid to late October last year, mid-October, to $154. About a 25% decrease. And since October last year, it's bounced up and down a couple of times, back up to $190. You can see here today, this Charizard VMAX Secret Rainbow Rare is selling for $177 raw. These are obviously all raw prices. They're all American prices. This will all be in US dollars. So that's $177 for this Charizard Champion's Path. Again, $194 a year ago, $177 today. Now this one hasn't crashed down in price as much as some of the others. And if we look back on the 3 months for this card, we can see it's down on the 3 months from 197 to 177, hitting a low of about 166. Is it time to pick up this card? The 3 month graph doesn't really tell us that this is really on the rise significantly. I mean, if we look at 1 month, it's been climbing over the last 1 month. I don't know if 1 month is enough of a time frame to really determine if this thing has corrected properly. I'm not an expert on graphs, guys, so Ecavator Emptor, buyer beware. If you love this Charizard, you're not looking to buy it for a quick profit, you just love this card and you want to pick it up, maybe now's the time. Maybe it's going to drop in price again. It's really up to you guys. I think it's a nice card, and I won't be picking it up anytime soon, but if you think it's good value now, there you go, that's the price. Giratina V-Star Secret Rare from Crown Zenith. This is the number one chase card in Crown Zenith. A year ago, $130. Came crashing down to $67 in November last year. Wiped off half the value. And now it's sitting at about $75 today. All the way from $130 down to $75. If we look on the 3 months, this thing is up on the last 3 months from 69 to 76, 75, right? So it's gone up about $6 in the last 3 months. If you love this card, might be a good time to buy. I don't know if these cards are going to plummet in price again. But basically, the moral of the story here is if you do like any of these cards, now is probably a good time to pick up most of them for your collection. Again, if you're looking to make a quick profit, I'm not going to tell you to buy or wait, but if you really just want the card for your collection, it might be a good time to buy these cards. Moving on, Shining Fates, Charizard VMAX, selling for $78. A year ago, it was $102. So it's come off about $24, $25 in the last year. That's not as crazy as some of the other prices we're going to look at. The last 3 months, it's down also on the 3 months from 85 to 70, 78. It's down slightly on the last 3 months. But again, 1 year, $101 down to $78. Again, if you really like this Charizard, pick it up. I think over a long enough time frame, these Charizards are going to be a pretty safe bet. Just don't pay too much for them, guys. One of my favorite Charizards in this video is this Charizard from Celebrations. One of my favorite Charizards from the Sword and Shield era, rather, is this Celebrations Charizard. It's just got that classic look to it. I did pick up this Charizard recently, last week. I don't know if you can see that there. That's the Celebrations Charizard in a 9.5. That's an Australian grading company. I will get this relabeled in a 10. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to do that right now, but I am going to get that relabeled in a 10 from this company. So they've changed some of their structure on their grading services. So I'll show you guys that in another video. But that's my Celebrations Charizard. Love, love, love that card. A year ago, this card was $79, went up to 80, 88. It's down to 69. So the Celebrations Charizard, it's down slightly on the year. If we look at the 3-month period, it's down again on the 3-month graph as well. 77 down to 68. It's not down a lot. These Charizards are holding up a little bit better. They haven't crashed as much as some of the others. But Celebrations Charizard, if you think it's a good pickup, go grab it. I did, and I'm just glad to have it in my collection. I didn't buy it for profit, for investment. My booster boxes are really where my main investment is. But I buy some of these cards every now and again if I just simply like them and I want them in my collection. So that's the Celebrations Charizard. Mewtwo V-Star Secret Rare from Pokemon Go, one of the cheaper cards in this video. Pokemon Go was not a very popular set. I personally liked it. We had a lot of fun opening up Pokemon Go Elite Trainer boxes. We put a bunch of the top chase Mewtwo cards in that set. I really love them. They have come down in price a lot. Again, it wasn't a very popular set. Nobody really was too keen, I guess you could say, on this set. Just there wasn't enough going on in this set for people to be too interested. But I thought it was fun to open. It's a shame some of these Mewtwo's are so cheap. 1 year ago, this Mewtwo was $37. It's now $28. So it's come off a bit. The last 3 months, it's pretty steady, going from 28 to 29 in the last 3 months. So it's pretty steady now. If you like this card, it's a cheap card. It's a cheap Mewtwo. I personally think they're a bit undervalued. They're not easy to pull. These are not easy to pull. The amount of Elite Trainer boxes you have to open to pull one of these cards, I mean, you could get lucky, but you have to open a lot of packets to pull one of these cards. So it's a shame they're so cheap. So I think if you do like Mewtwo, just pick it up for your collection. It's a cheap card. It's a nice card. Another cheapie, probably the cheapest Charizard in existence, is this Darkness Ablaze VMAX Charizard from, Darkness Ablaze. I'm losing myself here. This thing, I mean, we pulled this in the very first Darkness Ablaze ETB that we ever opened. We pulled this card straight away. So I don't think it's very rare, hence it's very cheap. It was $31 a year ago, and it's now $22, $23. So it's come off about 25 to 30%, I guess, in the last 12 months. In the last 3 months, it's down again, $26 down to $23. Look, it's a cheap card. Like, there's no huge risk in waiting or buying now. Like, just if you like this card, just pick it up. It's a cheap card. Again, if you get it in a PSA 10 or something, don't pay too much. It is very common, this Charizard. But again, just pick it up if you like it. It's not a bad price. The Gutina V from Lost Origin, the biggest chase card in Lost Origin. This thing is worth quite a bit compared to some of the other cards we looked at. This card's actually really carrying the Lost Origin booster box price. This is such an expensive card. $325 a year ago, $330 a year ago. Came crashing down to $232 in December, around Christmas time. So $331 down to $230, $235, what did I say, $230. It's sitting around $260 now. So this thing's come off a long way. Let's look at the last 3 months. It's actually been climbing quite well, from $228 3 months ago to $261. Look, I'm not a Giratina fan. I don't really like Giratina, though I will say with this card, the artwork is incredible. If you do like Giratina, this is probably one of the best Giratinas you can get. It is a really nice card so far as the artwork. I'm just personally not a Giratina fan. I won't be buying this card anytime soon. I'm not desperate to get it in my collection. There's other cards I'm interested in. But if you love Giratina, I don't know if this thing's going to get any cheaper. It looks like it's on the rebound now. So I'm not going to tell you to buy or not buy, but if you like this card, it's probably not a bad time to get in. Better to buy in the valleys rather than the peaks. Buy when there's blood on the streets, as Warren Buffett would say. I don't think Warren Buffett would ever touch Pokemon cards though. So, Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike. Again, these are obviously the number one chase cards in each set. So this is really the card that's carrying Fusion Strike. So a year ago, this Gengar, this is one of the few cards that is up. That is actually up in value over the last 12 months. Most of them have come down in price. So $190 a year ago. God, it's had like a roller coaster ride. So volatile. It went down to $185 in November, back up to $220 a couple of months later. It's now sitting there around $210. Again, a year ago it was $187. So this thing hasn't really had a crazy crash like some of the others. that means it may do in future, or it may just be a strong enough card that it's going to keep going up in value. Again, I'm not a big Gengar fan. I've got no interest in chasing this card. I'm focusing on some other cards. But if you love Gengar, I mean, you can wait for it to crash, see what happens, but the danger of waiting is you could pay a lot more in the future. This thing just keeps performing. Very volatile though, very volatile. The Blaziken from Chilling Reign. A year ago, this card was $170. Went up to a high in May last year of $227. Crashed down to $163. Look back on the last 3 months, it's starting to climb again. From $163 up to $171. Again, a year ago, you could have bought this for $171, and now it's $172. So if you take away this big spike in May last year, where it went up to almost $230, this card is pretty much the same price as it was 12 months ago today. It looks like it is on the way. We've got a good 3-month window there where it's just continually climbing. If you like this Blaziken from Chilling Reign, might be a great time to buy this card. It's probably a good time to buy most of these cards, if I'm being honest. I don't know if they're going to get much cheaper, some of these cards, but let's do it case by case. That's the Blaziken. Probably the most popular card from Sword and Shield. Arguably the most popular card from the Sword and Shield era. And I think the most expensive, off memory. I might be wrong. But the Umbreon from Evolving Skies a year ago was $566. Now it's $574. So it's pretty much where it was a year ago. It's slightly up on the year, though we have had some big peaks and valleys. It went up to $652 in April last year, all the way from $652 down to $491, under $500 in October last year. And now, if we look back sort of on the last 3 months, it's gone up from $530 to $570, and it's really, even over the last month, it's really just shot up, this Umbreon, from $544 to $584. So it's starting to get close to that $600 mark again. Again, its all-time high was $650, and it's not far off $600 again now. I'm just not paying that kind of money for this card. I don't love Umbreon as much as most people. There's not a lot of these top chase cards that I am after. This one I just can't. If I bought this, I'd have to buy it straight up in a PSA 10, because to buy it raw for that sort of price, go and get it graded, and maybe it doesn't hit a 10. It's just so much risk with this card. I'd probably just buy it in a PSA 10, and that would. I haven't looked at the PSA 10 prices, but I think that would be over $1,000 maybe now, or close to $1,000. I'm just not gonna. I'd rather buy 5 booster boxes. You know what I mean? So I've missed the boat with this Umbreon, unless something dramatic changes with the pricing. I just don't know if I'm ever going to own this card. So if you own this card, snaps to you, good work. And it's not done too badly. The Tyranitar from Battle Styles, the #1 chase card from Battle Styles, a year ago was $102. Now it's $91. Again, this one hasn't come off as crazy as some of the other ones have. It hit a high in June last year of $114. And again, this is a really volatile card. $95, up to $108, down to $92, up to $101. Like, this is bouncing all over the place like it's on a trampoline. But the long and the short of it is, a year ago it was $102, now it's $90. Not the most expensive card on this list. If you do like Tyranitar, and I don't think it's a bad card actually, the lazy Tyranitar laying down under the tree there, it's not a bad looking card. I'm not too crazy about it, but it's not bad. It's not expensive. If you like this card, it might be a good time to buy. However, in saying that, 3 months ago it was $101 and it's down to $90. It's lost 10% in the last 3 months. There's probably not a big danger of waiting a bit longer, if I'm being honest. This hasn't shown any signs of recovery. It's probably worth just waiting. I mean, you probably get this a bit cheaper, the Tyranitar. The Lugia. This is one of my favourite cards on this list. The Lugia V. I don't own this. At some point I will somehow pick up this card, whether it's raw or in a PSA 10. I think they're about 500 Australian dollars in a PSA 10, which is about 350 American dollars, give or take. A year ago this card raw was 187, now 124. So this Lugia V from Silver Tempest has really come down a long way. Over the last 3 months it's still down, 130 to 123. It's slightly down on the last 3 months. Shown some signs of recovery in the last month, but again 4 weeks is not really a long enough window to see what this card's going to do. It could come down a little bit more again. We really want a solid 3 months of growth to really say, okay, this thing is probably recovered well. But that Lugia V, awesome card. It is a lot cheaper than it was a year ago. I'll probably wait a few more weeks, maybe another month or two at least, and just keep an eye on it this year. Maybe there might be a good time sort of mid-year to pick this card up for me, so I'm waiting for this one, but I definitely want this one in my collection. So that's the Lugia V from Silver Tempest. Astral Radiance. This is the #1 chase card from Astral Radiance, the Machamp. It's a pretty cool card. Again, I'm not dying to get my hands on it. There's only a few that I really want, to be honest, and this Machamp is not one of them. But it is a nice card. I can see why people like it. A year ago it was $111, now down to $81, so it's come off about $30 in the last 12 months. Going back 3 months, it was $81, and it's pretty much exactly the same price as it was 3 months ago. Though it's not showing strong signs of recovery. Again, if you do like this card, it's not too expensive. Pick it up. If it goes down in price again a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, I wouldn't be necessarily buying these for a quick profit. Just buy them if you like them, if you want them for your collection. They have come down in price a lot. So the Charizard is the next one from Brilliant Stars, the Charizard V. This is quite a nice card. A year ago it was $169. Check that out. $169 a year ago. Down to $116. That's crazy. That's one of the biggest crashes from any of these Charizard cards. 3 months ago it was $117. It's still there, $117. It had a bit of a peak of $120. So it's around that $115 to $120 mark. It's pretty flat on the 3 months, so it hasn't really continued to crash. Is it a time to pick it up right now? I mean, I'm not a technical investor. I don't know how to read these graphs to an absolute, the nth degree, you know. But if you like this card, I mean, it's come off from 169 to 116. It's not the worst time to pick it up. If you really like this card, I mean, I'd say pick it up, add it to your collection. If it gets a little bit cheaper in the short term, it's no big deal. But there's the Charizard V, really falling from glory. Last but not least, we have the big fat rainbow Pikachu VMAX Secret Rare from Vivid Voltage. This thing's gone down from $165 a year ago to $99, call it $100. So I mean, that's a huge drop. I've got the Pikachu here. We pulled this from the Vivid Voltage pack, obviously. That's where it comes from. But I've got that graded. That hit a 9.5. I won't be able to get that in a 10 based on the subgrades. So the centering really let me down with a 9 on the centering. Otherwise, I would have been able to get that. I would have been able to send that back in for a 10. But that's the Pikachu VMAX. Awesome card. I actually haven't opened up a Vivid Voltage booster box. I pulled that Pikachu from like a random packet in a small collection box that had like 7 random packets in it. So that was really lucky. It's a very difficult card to pull. I would say like from $160 odd down to $99 in the last 12 months. If you like this card, this Pikachu, I think it's a really awesome card. Everyone should try and get this in their collection. And it's really cheap right now. It's gone down from 3 months ago even. So if you wanted to wait a bit longer, it was $106 a month ago and under $100 now. So it would probably get cheaper. If I'm being honest, that's my opinion. It would probably get cheaper. But look, it's a great card. Keep an eye on it and look at picking it up in the next couple of months if you really like this card. It's a really good price and cheaper to just buy it than opening booster boxes to try and find it. It's a very hard card to pull. So do you want to go and open up 3, 4, 5, 6 booster boxes trying to find it, or just spend $100? You know what I mean? It's worth picking up if I'm being honest. So there's 15 top chase cards from the Sword and Shield era, #1 chase cards. The 2 sets I didn't look at was Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base, because why would I bother? The 2 chase cards in those are really poor in value, really cheap. Go and buy them if you want, look them up yourself. I just didn't want to talk about them. They're boring. The Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base sets, those 2 chase cards are really boring, really cheap. I just didn't have any interest in discussing them. But there's the other 15 sets, all the special sets, all the regular sets from Sword and Shield. Do you have these cards? Did you pull these cards? Did you pay too much for these cards and lost value? Which ones are you looking to get in your collection? Love the feedback, love the support. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you next time on the Chase Card. Bye for now.